What's going on, guys? Justin with the Podcast Dojo. So I'm going to bring you yet another abandoned location today. Today I'm going to be talking about Rolling Acres Mall. Now I know this video has been talked about before, so before I begin, I'm going to give a few shout outs. So the first one is to Seph Lawless, who not only got shots of the mall, but he also got shots of the mall while it was snowing inside the mall. So that's pretty cool, and ironically enough, it's a snow day here in Virginia. Also, this is Dan Bell. He was also able to get inside the mall and take some video footage. And finally, Bright Sun Filming. So go check out Jake's video in the description, as well as the other three. But Jake from Bright Sun Filming actually did a video talking about the Rolling Acres Mall. Thought he did a pretty good job on it. I thought all three guys did a really good job on it. But I want to talk about this mall just because it is so infamous. It's one of the most infamous, if not the most infamous, abandoned mall. So we're going to talk about it. So go ahead, sit back, relax as we go check out Rolling Acres Mall. Rolling Acres Mall opened up on August 6, 1975, thanks to Forest City Enterprises, and started out very small and would go through quite a few expansions over the years. Started out with one anchor store, which was Sears, and about 21 other stores, which would later become 50 stores by the end of the year. JCPenney's would open up in 1976, and in 1977, a new wing was added called a Court of Aquarius, and it even had a large aquarium as well as Montgomery Ward's. I tried to find pictures of the aquarium, but no luck. Too bad, I would love to have seen it. But there's one thing I have to talk about speaking of water. This fountain here in the middle of the mall I just think is so cool. I've always been fascinated by fountains, and to me, this is just such a unique design. Like, you really wouldn't see this anywhere else. Another expansion happened in 1978, adding a two-story section called the Promenade and another anchor, O'Neill's, which was a local chain. In 1986, the entire mall would undergo a renovation, going from the earthy tones to pastel colors. Two of the anchor stores would leave as well. O'Neill's was merged into the May Company, Ohio in 1989, and Montgomery Ward's was in 1986 and replaced Higbee's. Considering Montgomery Ward's was set to be bankrupt in the late 90s, early 2000s, this was probably a smart move. However, this was just not enough to save Rolling Acres Mall. But let's continue. In 1991, an incident broke out at the movie theater which would foreshadow what I believe was to be the downfall of the mall. A fight broke out of the movie theater. Some bystanders thought they heard gunshots, which sent a panicked crowd through the corridors. This was a mistake made by the mall when they stopped using off-duty police officers and started using regular mall security guards. The cinema would close 2 years later, to which I can only assume was a result of the fight. More changes arrived in the early 90s. Higbee's was acquired by Dillard's in 1992, and the May and Ohio Company became Kaufman's in 1993. The mall was refinanced in 1994 to add even more restaurants to the food court. A Target opened up at the mall in 1996, connecting the mall and bringing in record profits. However, this is the start of where things go south for the mall. The mall began losing stores in the mid-90s, and the Dillard's and JCPenney's downgraded. The mall was sold to Bankers Trust of New York in 2000 for $33.5 million, who gave the mall a new logo and a website. The movie theater was revived and reopened under the name Blind Squirrel Cinema. Not gonna lie, that sounds like the name of a YouTube channel. In 2001, the Witchard family of North Carolina purchased Rolling Acres Mall for $2.75 million. The Witchard family is known for buying malls and flipping them for profit, but even they couldn't attract new stores, and in the same year the cinema closed again, only to open in 2003 as a discount theater. So I know I said the mid to late 90s was the turning point for the mall, but oh, trust me. Starting with 2006, this is where things really go south for the mall. Target relocated in 2006 and the Dillard's closed in the same year. Kaufman's was rebranded as Macy's, only to close 2 years later in 2008. The mall was sold yet again in 2006 for $1.6 million to a Ponzi schemer group, Namco Capital Group. In 2008, there were reports of merchandise being stolen from various stores. Was this the teen gangs that started hanging around the mall? No, this was done by Brandon Shawan, a homeless man in his mid-20s who was living out of the boarded-up Diamond's men's store. He had about $30,000 worth of stolen merchandise in his new home, including a flat-screen TV and stolen bedding. According to the police, he was living off protein bars and drinks stolen from the GNC store. In October of 2008, it was announced that the mall would be cutting off its power due to not being able to pay their power bill. Not really surprising considering how the mall did such practices, such as turning off the air conditioning in the summertime, barely turning off the heat in the wintertime, turning off the music, and even turning off the escalator. It wasn't long before even the lease on the elevators wasn't renewed. On October 31st, 2008 was the final day the mall was open, other than JCPenney's and Sears, which were unaffected by the change. The mall was bought in 2010 by Premier Ventures. However, nothing came out of this because they didn't pay their taxes or the back taxes from 2006, resulting in foreclosure. Sears closed in the same year only to become Pinnacle Recycling Center 2 years later. But let's take a break in the action to tell you about some of the more creepy happenings at the mall. In April of 2011, a man was trying to steal copper wire from the mall when an electrical box exploded on him. By the time the fire department arrived on scene, the man was dead and on the ground while on fire and holding bolt cutters. In November of 2011, a 47-year-old man, Timothy Kern, was found dead in the woods behind the mall, and it was linked to serial killer Richard Beasley and a 16-year-old accomplice Brogan Rafferty, who posted a fake Craigslist ad. JCPenney's was purchased in 2011 by SB Capital Group and was renamed JC 5 Stars Outlet. The store was remained open until December 31st, 2013, leaving the entire mall completely abandoned. Although the Target is a storage place now and the recycling center is still there. As of October 28, 2016, the demolition process of Rolling Acre Mall has begun, ending the chapter of one of the most infamous malls in history. Okay, well that was a lot to cover. But I do have 4 reasons why I think the mall ultimately met its downfall. So we'll go ahead and cover that before we go into my what-if scenario. The management of the mall changed many times. It doesn't even seem like it was very good management either, or the good management they had was just in over their heads. Now it's always safe to say that when you gain new management, things will change. But I think change happened a bit too much here. For example, I think it was a poor decision to start using mall security instead of off-duty police. Which brings me to my next reason. I've read that this mall wasn't in a great area to begin with, and I've heard many stories about the teen gangs hanging out around the mall. As I mentioned earlier, I believe that the 1991 incident with the movie theater led to the first closure. In fact, after the mall was abandoned, many vandals and scrappers ransacked the mall. If you look at abandoned videos and pictures of the mall, you can see shot-out light fixtures and windows as well as bullet holes. By 2008, the mall was already on its knees due to low numbers. So what happens when you have an economic crisis in the same year? Well, it was just the lemon juice in an open wound. With the economic crisis, people just didn't have the throwaway money to go out shopping, which only means the mall loses even more money. Part of this was the social economic decline, but more or less the location. People in the area actually doubted the sustainability of the mall because you already had 2 malls in the area that came before it, and most people weren't going to drive all the way out to Rolling Acres Mall. Let's wrap this up with my what-if scenario. For this one, I'm going to say what I believe would happen if the mall never stopped using off-duty police officers as security. So with off-duty police officers, I believe that the teen gangs that frequented the mall would have shown up a lot less. The movie theater fight from 1991 would most likely not have happened, or if it did, the off-duty police officers could have detained them, making the mall patrons feel much safer. But overall, I don't think this is enough to save the mall from the problems I mentioned above. I just think that Rolling Acres Mall would have remained a safer place. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos and Ray Ray's videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And when you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell button too, because that'll send notifications to you whenever we upload new content. And also, as I said before, make sure to go check out Seph Lawless, This is Dan Bell, and Jake at Bright Sun Filming. Alright guys, thanks so much, and I will see you next time.